we want him to be able to play as a left back, but have the qualities to play as a centre back as well.
There will be some like centre halves who would be very, very uncomfortable being asked to go and defend there.
I think this is probably the biggest tactical shift potentially.
Hello everyone, welcome to the Red Men TV. I'm Steve Hoard, this is Josh Williams. Welcome to episode 3 of our series where we are identifying the ideal Liverpool summer transfer target. On episode 1, we looked at the number 8. On episode 2, we looked at defensive midfielders. Here on episode 3, we're going to be looking at left back / left hand side of Liverpool's defence, whatever you want to call it. Basically what Andy Robbo's been doing last season. Yeah, what we're going to be looking at is how they set up in the new system that Liverpool have employed, the strengths and what Liverpool wants from their certain player, and then of course identifying some names who fit the bill as well. So Josh, since Liverpool moved to this new formation, you call it the 3-2-5, Andy Robertson's effectively become a left back and a left centre half in one. He's one of the ones who were majorly impacted by the change. For those who are watching along, you can see on the board now, we've got him here. For those listening, you're basically on the left-hand side of a back three there. First of all, in that role, I thought, how did you think Andy Robertson did in general? Do you think he was enough? Do you think Liverpool got what they wanted out of him? Is there scope to say maybe ideally they would want something a little bit different if Jürgen was drawing this up on a blank piece of paper? What did you make of Robertson in that role?
No, I think so far I've been pleasantly surprised by him. I think he's shown so far that I don't think Liverpool need to upgrade. I don't think it's a need. I don't think it's any kind of pressing concern. He's shown that he can do it. He's defensively good. He can still get up the pitch at times. Tactically aware in terms of like Liverpool's behaviour on the ball and against the ball, not under Jürgen Klopp for many years now. So I think he's done it to a decent level. And as I said, I don't think Liverpool need to upgrade or anything like that. But maybe behind him, his backup is Tsimikas.
That's why, this is the reason, I'm glad you said that, because the reason why I'm doing this show, when I put it together, a little idea was that I think Kostas Tsimikas was the perfect backup when Liverpool looked like they used to look like, 4-3 with the pivots there, and the left back role was to be up and down this left hand side, supporting Sadio Mane or Luis Diaz or whatever it was. I actually think we saw the best of Kostas Tsimikas, but since they went to a back three, effectively, or whatever you call it, drifted inside a little bit with Trent moving into that more midfield-ish type role, I looked at Kostas Tsimikas a few times and was like, I'm not sure that's what we need. And if Andy Robertson's out, I'm not sure you want Kostas Tsimikas playing 2 months worth of footy in that role.
Yeah.
I was there against Fulham. It didn't look great again. Southampton, there's loads of caveats to the Southampton game, but again, it looked a little bit messy at times. So, would you agree with me on that? Do you think I'm not far off on it? What have you thought about Kostas when you've seen the little you have seen him in that role?
Yeah, no, I agree with you, mate. And I think generally throughout the season, I think even in the previous role, I don't think he's had a great season. I think whenever he's came in and had the opportunity to make an impression, I think he's looked a little bit off it. I think his concentration isn't very good at times, a little bit sloppy. And if you think of the nature of the change in role here, what the new left back is essentially getting asked to do, it is very against what we know from Tsimikas. We know him as a player for the final third who can deliver crosses and overlaps and lots of attacking intent and stuff, whereas Robbo can do all that attacking stuff, but Robbo, we know he's always been very good defensively, don't we? And I think for Scotland at times, because Scotland have got Kieran Tierney over there as well, I think he's played as on the left of a back three at times, Robbo. So he is a bit more experienced in doing it. So he's not overly an issue for me, but as you say, the backup there is a bit more of a problem. And if you think potentially as well with Matip potentially leaving, that's up in the air, isn't it? We could replace Matip and Tsimikas almost with one player by getting in a centre half who can play on the left and do a bit of left back stuff at times, maybe. Absolutely.
So then before we start looking at some names and stuff then, so since Jürgen moved and changed into this system, effectively Andy Robbo's role, what has been his role? What have you been asked to do? And then second of all, what characteristics are Liverpool looking for or in that role, or what you would think Jürgen's looking for in that role?
Well, I think apart from the Trent one, I think this is probably the biggest tactical shift, potentially. Potentially the Jones role as well. But you are essentially asking the left back, rather than being the attacking full back who's overlapping and responsible for delivering assists and things like that, he's now playing next to Van Dijk for a lot of the game, and he's tucking in as a wide centre back at times. So in comparison to like what we knew before, there's some new stuff in there It's now a bit more of a hybrid role in terms of being a fullback and a centre-back, really. Obviously, we want him to be left-footed. We want him to fit the usual age thing, which I've said in every series so far, every show so far. 25 and under, ideally. We want him to be able to play as a left-back, but have the qualities to play as a centre-back as well. So ideally, he'll probably be a bit taller than Robbo, a bit taller than Tsimikas.
Yeah.
I think Robbo's about 5'10" or something like that, isn't he? So in terms of being like targeted aerially, you could say that is a potential weakness there. You want him to be mobile, and because we're occupying a high defensive line a lot of the time. That player is expected to defend wide open spaces, and he gets dragged out wide a lot, covering the wide areas. So he needs to be comfortable doing that. Yeah. Some centre halves are just less comfortable doing that. Ideally, good 1v1 as well. Good on the ball. Some attacking threat, ideally, if they're used as a conventional fullback at times, potentially with that.
Because even in this role, there were times when we did see Andy Robertson becoming more, those underlapping runs that he was known for. There were still occasions where he was either asked to do it or the game required them to do it as well. So, I see your point. At times, you're going to be asked to go. Actually, when Liverpool haven't got the ball, and I'm just moving it around for those who were listening, going back to what Liverpool are without the ball, which is effectively, the press has been beaten and Liverpool go back into a 4-3-3 shape. Now, that left-hand side over there will be some, centre-halves who would be very, very uncomfortable being asked to go and defend there.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Man City do it really well because they've got Nathan Ake who can do both. He's used to being a centre-back and a left-back. It almost feels like he's almost like the ideal model for when you want someone, because you wouldn't want, I don't know, just your regular run-of-the-mill centre-half getting dragged over there. They don't want to be over there, really.
To be honest, mate, even if you think of Virgil over there, for me, would look uncomfortable. I don't think he'd look like he's comfortable doing it for me.
Matip sometimes looked a little bit out. Kanate's been really good at it. He's been another one who's impressed since the change on the right. But even Matip at times when he was asked to go out there was never. He was often committing fouls or just thinking, he was worried about his lack of pace kind of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's really, really difficult to ask someone to go from playing as a centre half to going out there, which may be why. Because if he wanted to, when Jürgen made this shift, and I'm going to put it back to the attacking format with the three at the back there, he had the option to play. He could have played Joe Gomez, he could have played Joel Matip, he could have went Matip, Konate and Van Dijk as a three, Van Dijk in the middle obviously. He could have played Gomez, who's got experience at full-back, but he decided to go with Andy Robbo, and my thinking was that he wanted someone who was actually, I'm alright, he trusted Konate to go and do it on the right-hand side. Whoever was out on the left-hand side, he wanted to be comfortable defending all that space, because look how much it is. Would you go along with that a little bit? Maybe that's why he chose Robertson.
Yeah. I mean, as I said, defensively, there's never really been any question marks about him. He's really good defensively. He's decent 1v1. But if you couple in that attacking threat thing that I've just mentioned, it is kind of like an added bonus that he has in comparison to a Nathan Ake or a Ben White, I think, who was doing it for Arsenal. In terms of, if Liverpool are playing this system and say 10 minutes left and we are a goal down, maybe you do just tell Robbo to start going and you leave Virgil with Konate and you go full overload type thing. Whereas if this is Ake, he's just got a bit less of that about him.
Well, he's getting subbed off, and they're going to pep up Bernardo Silva there a couple of times in the end, because he's inclined to do that.
Yeah,
it makes sense. Like I say, that's why it's interesting. I think it's a really important conversation. Well, an intriguing, interesting conversation to have. So, I did ask you to come up with a couple of names if Liverpool were looking for someone. Not so much, well, let's just say Robertson's either injured or you're going to upgrade him. I'm not sure either way. Tsimikas' replacement. Are you looking at a left back or are you looking at a left side, the centre half? I think it's really difficult to understand what you want. I'm not quite sure what Jürgen. If you ask Jürgen hand on heart, I'm looking at something like what have you gone for? What have you decided there?
To be honest, I've gone with a bit of both, really. I think looking at my list, they're probably mostly centre-halves.
Who can do a job.
Who could play as a full-back if needed, I think if you think of most full-backs, they're usually out there as failed wingers rather than failed centre-halves, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I don't know, it's an interesting one. It's just, I don't even know how I specifically come up with them, really. It's just kind of like it's just like a hybrid role, really, isn't it? It's like a player who's predominantly a centre-half and can play out wide and looks comfortable out there. And so it's tricky. Yeah, there's not that many, unsurprisingly.
It's a relatively new thing. Pep. Like I say, Nathan Ake seems to me like that. Again, maybe attacking wise, I think he's good enough in the attacking wise where he's not a liability.
No.
You know what I mean? Like that maybe that's where you go with it, where, like I for example, I always suggest, I think if Robertson was 2 inches taller, he might just be the perfect. You know what I mean? There's no real glaring weakness, and maybe a little bit younger as well if you're looking for stuff. But yeah, looking at, again, going back to the Costas thing, I wouldn't be comfortable with it. So I asked you to come up with a couple of ideal names if you were looking to sign someone, if Liverpool were looking for a target in this area, which, Jörg Schmadt's come in and Jürgen's gone, right, I could do with upgrading Costas. Or even if you say to him, can you get me someone who plays ahead of Robertson, and Robertson becomes me backup? That's another way of going about it. But is there any ideal names who you think could fit that role?
Yeah, well, I think the ideal one, mate, would be Joško Gvardiol, who's currently playing for RB Leipzig. Did well for Croatia in the World Cup, although he did get roasted by Lionel Messi for that specific moment. Do you remember that?
A lot of people do. You can't hold that against a lot of people, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
James Milner got megged by him a couple of times as well, called him a donkey, didn't he, as well? Gvardiol, he had the mask on in the World Cup, that's what I mainly remember him for. He has been linked again. I guess, like say, we mentioned before about the scarcity of players, like left-sided centre-halves in general, or left-backs. Like, there's a reason why Gvardiol is being touted with a big feat. Chelsea were linked with a huge transfer for him back in January. We'll see where we're at going into this summer. But yeah, you can see why he is such a player who's in demand, because he does fit the bill perfectly. Absolutely, you could see him you could see him putting Robertson on the bench, really, couldn't you?
Yeah.
You really could.
Yeah, and whether we want that, we don't even know, do we?
Yeah, we don't know, yeah.
But he is ideal in terms of the specific profile that you're after.
Suppose what else you could do, mate, as well, is, if Virgil ever needed the game off, he potentially go there as well. You need him to.
Yeah. But he is left-footed. He's only 21, believe it or not. He's about 6'1"ish. Yeah. So he's a good height, good in the air. He's on a relatively low wage in comparison to, like, what we're used to in the Premier League.
Supports Liverpool,
yeah, I know that one. He's got a long contract though, which could probably be a problem. 2027 his deal runs out. So
Leipzig can't stupid that. They know what they're doing.
They know what they're doing, don't they? But the fact he plays for Leipzig is a thing. The Red Bull thing in terms of, like, Canate we got from Leipzig. So I've got a decent relationship there with them. But he's probably the gold standard, and I think it'd be a shame, to be honest, because he's getting linked with City. Laporte is getting linked with a move. If they replace Laporte with him, it's just annoying, isn't it?
It's outrageous, really. Yeah.
City, getting Haaland one season, getting in Gvardiol the season after. It's just, what are we even bothering for? Like, but he's ideal in terms of what we're looking at. He can play as a centre-half, can play as a full-back. Yeah. Looks perfect, basically. Another lad we're getting linked with is Goncalo Inacio, who plays for Sporting. Yeah. I think he's 21, really good on the ball. I think the only player in Portugal this season who's played more progressive passes than him is a lad for Porto called Otavio, who we've been linked with in the past as well, actually, midfielder. So really progressive on the ball. Can do the centre-half, left-back thing as well. We seem to like buying Portuguese players lately, don't we, with Nunes and Diaz. Obviously, Julian Ward had a bit of a link there. Maybe that's died a little bit now. But he seems to fit the bill, good age. There's a lad called Piero Hincapié as well. Great name.
I've never heard of him. Who's it? Talk to me about Piero. Really is a good name.
It sounds a bit like a Pokemon, doesn't it?
He evolves from Pikachu.
Yeah, he plays for Leverkusen.
Okay.
Another one getting coached by Xabi Alonso at the minute, similar to Florian Wirtz, who we spoke about a few weeks ago. Yeah. But I think he's Colombian or Ecuadorian, definitely South American anyway. But he's been playing sometimes as a wing back for Xabi Alonso. Can play as a centre back as well. Good age, aggressive, versatile, decent on the ball. So he fits the bill. He's kind of new on the scene a little bit, but I think he's recently signed a new contract. I think he's kind of one of the main players at Leverkusen, one of the main players Xabi wants to build around. So he could be difficult to acquire, obviously. There's a lad called Naya Faguerd as well, who plays for West Ham.
He's rapid.
Yeah, good player.
He's fast. That's what you know about him. He's again, he was another part of that Morocco team, wasn't he? That did really, really well in the World Cup. I know Neil Jones put him in a piece recently. I'd say Liverpool liked him, so there could be something. Yeah, he's a good player. The only thing about him is that move he got to West Ham probably is his big move, to be honest, because I think he's 27 now. So around that time, he was getting linked with West Ham. Liverpool probably were looking at him. I think he was about 25 at the time. They paid about 35 million for him. So, that might be top player, but the ship might have sailed with that one.
And a recent link is this Mickey van der Ven, another great name, coming out of Wolfsburg, which is interesting because obviously George Schmadtke was just...
Schmadtke signed him.
Yeah, Schmadtke signed him, yeah. But he is very physical. Another one who's rapid. Have you seen the video?
I've seen the video. Everyone's seen the video. If you Google Mickey van der Ven, he's basically legging it back towards his own goal. Everyone's seen it by now, yeah, I'm sure as well, yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't know too much about him until these recent transfer links, but again, if you're talking, you can see why he's being linked. You know, sometimes it's director of footy used to be at a certain team, well, just here's 10 players he could sign, but with Van der Ven, he would suit that kind of, you could see where it kind of fits. It isn't just a lad who he used to manage kind of thing. He does kind of fit the bill here as well.
Yeah, you do see lazy links with that sometimes, don't you? But he's about, I think he's about 6'1", 6'3", something like around that. Very fast,
yeah, he's
so
massive, yeah.
Suited to being in Liverpool defence. Can do the full-back, centre-back thing, left-footed. I think he's 21, 22, something like that. So he seems to fit the bill, even though it's a Wolfsburg, Schmadtke kind of lazy story. It does seem to be potentially something in that one. Yep. Levi Colwill is a good player. He's currently at Brighton.
Liverpool do like him as well.
Well, he was at Brighton.
Yeah, he forgot, didn't he? He done an interview where he forgot he played for Chelsea. He very much doesn't like being... I don't think he was particularly fond of Chelsea by some of the comments he made, but he's another one he's actually been linked with Liverpool, whether he could get him out of Chelsea.
Yeah.
Well, he had a very good season at Brighton.
He did, yeah. Left-footed. Brighton have just bid for him, actually. 30 million, and it got rejected outright, apparently. So, looks like they want to keep him, but whether he even wants to stay, I don't know. But I've seen a video this week saying his idol was Steven Gerrard going up. See that one?
No, I didn't, but everyone's is. Get him, leave on the phone, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, he's a homegrown player, which we seem to have a bit of a concern over at the minute, considering we've lost Ox, lost Milner and that stuff. So I think he's 21, 20, something like that. Good progressive on the ball. Looked really at home playing.
He played more like a proper left centre back. Am I right in saying it? Yeah. It was more. He was more of the wing backs, like more kind of thing.
But but I think he's got the Gomez element about him in terms of you could just play him as a fullback and he's got the traits to just cope as a fullback if he wants to. So I think he's a decent link. But whether Chelsea would sell him to us, I don't know, to be honest. It's probably rather sell him to Brighton, wouldn't he? So
yeah, it's a good point. Yeah.
And the last one that I've got is a lad called Pau Torres. He plays for Villarreal. Yeah. It's quite surprising to me that he's still there, though. He's
been linked loads of times. Man United were linked with Pau Torres every single summer, but yet maybe there is a reason why no one's been able to quite get him out of Villarreal. Because every time you've seen him, he's looked a really good player. And yeah, maybe, I don't know, maybe there is something in it that we're not noticing. But I mean, you talk about the height thing, was he 6'2", 6'3", something like that? He fits the age just about 25, 26, is he?
26.
Yeah, so I like him. I think he's a good player. I think, but again, I still think he's more of a centre half than a...
Yeah, I agree.
You know what I mean?
I agree. His contract expires next summer though, and you know he's got to have a move in him sometime soon. As you say, he's been linked with City, United, Arsenal, Liverpool. Supposedly on our list, I think when we were looking at Virgil a while back. So, he can definitely make that step up. He's not so much of a fullback compared to the names I've already listed here, but could probably do it similar to like how Ben White has done it. I think he's a bit of a Ben White kind of fullback maybe. Doesn't offer he wouldn't offer the Robbo two-way threat if he needs to. If you start saying to him get forward, I don't think he could do much of that. But progressive on the ball, you know, good in possession, relaxed, composed, typically Spanish really in that sense. But he looks like a player who does roughly fit the bill, and you know certainly attainable by the looks of it, considering he's out of contract in a year and he's only playing for Villarreal, who I think have finished mid-table last season. I'm not sure.
Yeah, fair enough, yeah. It all makes sense. So, we kind of said it before. So, again, if Jörg Schmadtke got on the phone, do us a favour, Josh. It's fine with someone who can either back up Robbo or replace him or whatever. I'm guessing Gvardiol would be the one who you go. If you got the money to go and get Gvardiol, would that be fair to say? That would be fair to say, yeah. But I think Leipzig did actually come out pretty recently and say like he's not going this summer. Yeah, they don't want him to, yeah.
So, I can't see that one, if I'm honest. Other than him, I do like Colwill a lot. I think that'd be a good transfer, but again, whether Chelsea would sell him or not is remains to be seen. And Inacio at Sporting is definitely worth looking at as well. Okay, there you go. Let us know, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube or indeed listening as a podcast, if you're watching on YouTube, use the comment section which of those players or indeed somebody else
Would you be interested in Liverpool signing for that left-hand side of their defensive role? Like I say, if you're listening as a podcast, you can tweet us at the Redmen TV. Josh is at Distance Coverage. You can get your thoughts in there as well. We'd love to hear them. Like I say, if you haven't already, this was episode 3. Go back and watch episodes 1 and 2, or indeed listen to them. Episode 1 was about number 8. Episode 2 was about defensive midfielders. We've just done left back / left centre half, whatever you call it. On next week's show, we'll be looking at the right centre back position. Gomez question marks, massive question marks that Liverpool need to improve. But behind Ibu Konate, and if they do, who should they be looking at? We hope to see you on that one. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll be back next week looking at the centre backs.
Hey, our 3-part documentary series, Bobby Firmino, Best in the World, is being released this June. And if you head to redmenplus.com and sign up, you're going to get early access to episode 1, exclusive access to episodes 2 and 3, and you're also going to get the full interviews with all of the contributors, including Jordan Henderson, Adam Lallana, Ian Rush, and so many more as well. Head to redmenplus.com. Our brand new 3-part Bobby Firmino Best in the World documentary series is dropping this June. And if you go to redmenplus.com and sign up as a Club Legend yearly subscriber, not only will you get access to all of those shows and the extra content, we're going to send you codes for 2 free pieces of Roberto Firmino merch. Grab yourself a mug, grab yourself a tea, and put your feet up and watch the best documentary series this summer.